Next on the bench, another Tram. Oh yeah, well actually we got several projects that are next on the bench. Yeah, we got Homeward Linear over there and Master Niches. We got the high voltage plug for that. So this one here we've already looked at the top. Everything looks good. The 14 volt board has been completely rebuilt. Resistors, caps, everything. I'm going to pop the bottom off now and take a look and see what condition we're looking at there. I got a feeling the caps have already been replaced, so if that's the case, we're going to go ahead and bring it up on the Variac and see what problems we find. Catch me later. Psychotech Lab signing off. Okay, so the high voltage caps have not been replaced. Ooh, that one looks kind of scarred and charred. So we're going to be recapping the high voltage section on this before we try to turn it on. So, yep, high voltage recap. Got lucky on the 14 volt power board. That's already been redone. So let's round up some caps and stick them in there. We'll be back with another Tram D201 project. Okay, we replaced all those capacitors there. So there's like 7 capacitors in all in that stage that I replaced. Those are replacing those 2 CAN capacitors that have more than one capacitor built into them. So, bam, that's it for the high voltage stage. I'm going to give this thing a look over and then see about putting it up on the Variac. Oh yeah. Alright. Psychotech Labs cruising right along on this Tram project. So hopefully I'm almost done. Might have a couple of caps in the audio stage to replace on the audio board. And we got to swap out the Tram plug for a 4-pin plug, standard 4-pin Cobra. So without further ado, let's get to it. Catch me later. Psychotech Labs, we're on a roll. See ya. Oh boy, boys and girls, do you know what time it is? It's Mr. Variac time. Okay, so we replaced 8 caps so far. We swapped out the Tram plug for a standard 4-pin Cobra. Let's see what happens when we pump some voltage into it. There's a little over 50 volts. Everything's feeling okay. Lights on the front just starting to come on. .120 volts. So the bulbs aren't very bright in there. Those are actually 6-volt dash lights. If you put 12-volt lights in, see how dim like this one and that one is. Yeah, because they're supposed to be 6 volts. I might do something creative on that. Okay, well, let's power the Variac down, turn the Variac off, turn the radio off, Get to unplugging some stuff. All right. Gonna have to service that baby. Okay. So we got a few channels not working. So we're going to have to service the channel pressure switch too. So we'll be servicing all the knobs and switches. Yeah. No, I must have effed up when I wired it. This is not keying. Either that or the keying tube's not working. Yeah. Other than that, it seems to be alive. Okay, to figure out why it's not keying. I like checked 3 times to make sure I had that shit wired right. Excuse my French. Alright, so we're gonna do a few things, get it key up, blah blah blah, dogs and cats. Still a bit more work to do on this for sure. Not sure what time it is, but if it's getting late, I'll probably do that shit tomorrow. Alright, stay tuned for another continuing adventure of Psychotech Labs on the Tram d201 project. That's right, another Tram! Yay! Okay, after going over my wiring on the mic, it's definitely wired right. So we took a little jumper cable and jumped the transmit wire directly to ground with that. Still not keying. So we're going to go for the keying tube. That's right, they got a keying tube. I'm doing some air quotes. Keying tube. So let's flip it over, pull the keying tube out, put it in our handy dandy tube tester. Let's see if the keying tube's bad. We'll be right back. Okay, we got it to key up again. The last person to plug that relay in curled one of the 2 pins that control the field coil that keys the relay. So the pin was curled up and not plugging in to the top. Okay, I fixed that. I went in with my burnishing tool, burnished the relay. It's working good on receive. I got transmit now. I've got mod on modulation on sideband. When I go to AM, I got like 1/4 watt backward audio. So we're gonna have to go through and trace that out and see why we didn't really have audio on AM mode. So let's get that done, shall we? And we'll be back. Okay, so just so you know how much work this shit's is, these little things, okay, those are so you can solder on a place on the circuit board or something that you're working on, and then you can hook test probes up to it. In this case, we need to hook the scope up. Now, we've soldered, this is not the first tube in the audio stage for the transmit, the second tube, which is your preamp and amp, then an amplifier. Okay, so that was on the audio amplifier stage, pin 9. So yeah, that's the input to that tube, the signal going in. Hooked up our scope. Okay, this is a working tram right here. The audio stage is fine in it. This tram's got a problem with the VFO, but the rest of it's all dug. So I'm using that to compare. So now we didn't get good results. This one here had a normal scope pattern, and the other tram over there I'm working on, nope, failed. So that's the output of the preamp tube. There's something jacked with that. So now we need to solder on pin 2 of the preamp tube. Solder one of those little things on that, and then we can hook our scope to the input, compare the signals, and see what we got. So let's get to soldering and testing, boys and girls. Yay, buddy! Not exactly the way I wanted to spend my day today. I'd like to just whip this sucker out. I placed one of the main caps in that section, and nothing. There's another little electrolytic cap on the input side. That could be causing the problem. The symptom is motorboating. That's what it's called. It's like, you know, da 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 noise on the transmit in the audio. Okay, let's get on that. See you in a bit. Okay, so motorboating is usually always caused from a bad capacitor. That little cap right there was causing the motorboating, apparently.
Audio, hear that? I got audio now. Audio. Audio.
Now we got a little bit of forward deflection on the watt meter now. Before we had actual like reverse mod. It didn't got swing. Didn't have lots of swing yet. So we got something else in the audio stage, or the transmitter stage, not allowing us to have a bunch of forward swing. So we're going to go in to the ALC circuit, which would cause that exact symptom. We're going to check it out and see what we got. Stay tuned. It's Psychotech Labs, man.
Audio. No more motorboating. Yay. We got forward swing now. Yay. Listen now. Clear that audio is. Yay.
So, yep. Trace that out with the oscilloscope. You know, I don't use the scope a lot. I really don't. Some people are like really into the oscilloscopes, and they live and die by them. But really, I don't know. When it comes to tracing like the audio circuit problem, like I just had here, scopes, man, it's the only way to go. Without them, you're going to be pissing in the wind. But other than that, you know, I don't have a spectrum analyzer. I just got the scope, so yeah, it's a 100 megahertz scope. It's an okay scope. Channel 1's damaged on it, but yay, oscilloscope for the win. Allow me to track down exactly which part of the audio circuit is malfunctioning, and luckily I had a tram over here that everything was good on the audio stage, so we were able to compare our scope patterns in the different stages and it backtracked to the input of the tube. So, okay, let's see if we can get some forward deviation on our watt meter, and then shit, this bad boy's done. Am I happy? Yeah, I'm happier. I'm not happy yet because it's not 100% done, but we're getting there. We'll be back on Psychotech Labs. Okay, we made some progress troubleshooting, closing in on what's going on. So our problem's actually in the input circuit to the preamp tube. So I'm not getting my signal from the plug into the pin tube of the preamp tube. So I love this little scope. You know, it fits in the palm of your hand. One of the things I like about it, it's got a built-in tone generator. So we've been using this today to trace out the problems with the audio circuit, nailing down exactly where the problem is. So we ended up taking this and injecting the signal right into pin 2. Shit, our wattage swung up to about 18 watts. So yeah, that made me happy. So something's shorting out our audio before it gets in to the preamp tube. So there's a couple of disc capacitors, a couple resistors, and then that stupid, they call it audio compression circuit. It's actually an ALC. So we're going to tomorrow finish tracing it out. We got a lot of troubleshooting in today, so we're burnt. It's beer time, I'm sure. So we'll be back after these brief messages from the sponsors I don't even have. That's Psychotech Labs. Okay, yesterday on Psychotech Labs we did some more troubleshooting, and we traced down the problem basically, not to the exact part just yet, but pretty damn close. So the rest of the test we are not going to need to have the unit on. We're going to go ahead and we're going to work with this little scope, little handheld scope right here. Remember, it outputs a tone. It's got its own built-in tone generator. Okay, let's set it for the test. So we got this here, so I can key the radio, short it out and key it. Then I can also input my tone. So basically we're going to hook the tone output to the audio input. Alright, but before we do that, we have to turn the tone generator on. And this time we're going to calibrate our scope to the tone. So we're going to take and hook up our oscilloscope probe to the output of the tone generator. Yesterday we were using the big scope and the tone generator on this. Okay, so turn the tone generator on. Okay, hit the auto calibrate. That's the, I don't know if you can see it or not, that's the waveform we got right there. Shows the amplitude and everything. Okay, remember the radio's off, it's unplugged. because we do not need power for this test. Our problem is within the input circuit. So ground to ground, hot side of the audio to the hot side of the tone generator. Okay. Now we should be pumping a tone signal into the microphone plug and into the audio board. So we're gonna check that, and there's our signal. Okay, same signal. Our problem is it's not making that pure signal to pin 2. So that's our input. When we go to pin 2, you can see it's not right. I'm suspecting there's a problem in the ALC circuit. This blue and white wire right here goes to the ALC circuit. I'm going to unsolder that and see if it changes my oscilloscope pattern. And what we want is basically the same signal we got going into the board. We want that at pin 2. And then once we get that going, this thing will be done. So we're going to pause for a bit while we do some stuff, so stay tuned. We'll be back with a conclusion hopefully on Psychotech Labs. Okay, I know there's a lot of glare on that meter. Not much I can do about it, but okay, so here's what we did.
Audio.
Okay, no more motorboating.
Audio. Hello. Audio. Look at that swing. Audio.
And the motorboating's gone. And I'm happy. A front log trucker's going to be happy. So it was the ALC circuit. Something in the ALC circuits was like literally shorting out, and by it being partially shorted out, it was killing most of the audio going into pin 2, which of the preamp tube, which is where we're having the problem. So, damn. I unhooked the ALC circuit. Don't need that pesky thing anyway. They call it the AM compression circuit, but no, it's an ALC circuit. Screw the fancy names. Okay, we're done. We're going to go ahead and button this up. Give my friend Log Trucker a call and see when he wants to pick this bad boy up. Another tram done at Psychotech Labs. That's right. Thanks for watching my videos. Maybe y'all learned something. Maybe I learned something. So yeah, this little handheld scope right here, this thing is awesome. It's got the built-in tone generator. It's got everything we need for doing audio work on this radio equipment. That's basically the only time I use the scope. Sometimes we'll use it if we have RF problems in a radio. This scope here goes to 100 megahertz. So that's it. We are done. Catch me later. Psychotech Labs signing off.